in our Week 8 rewind, we touched briefly on Mountain View. We'll expand that a little bit more now as they have to play. This is their best competition since Desert Ridge, probably. The Toros and Mountain Pointe will hook up. Mountain Pointe's playing pretty well. They're going to get a little more of a stiff test with Mountain View this week than they have in the last week or two. Mountain View's been you've seen them, and we've both seen them, very balanced offensively and pretty fundamentally sound. My question is, how can they keep that up against a pretty good Mountain Pointe defense?
They're going to, one thing about Chad DeGrenier is he's good at doing those short routes and moving the ball through the air almost as a running game because he'll get 6-7 yards on the quick outs. That's going to be the key because Mountain View's not going to be able to run the ball on Mountain Pointe. I don't see any way they can do that. They don't have an elite running back, and Mountain Pointe's defense is so strong. So if they can get that passing game going, though, getting those short routes and completing that stuff, and then it opens it up, and then those guys are going to start jumping those routes, and then you can get big plays, and you can do draws, and you can do different things. So Mountain View needs to be able to connect on a lot of those passes and move the chains and start drives, and then that forces Mountain Pointe to start doing different things defensively, and then it gives them a chance. But if they can't pass the ball, they're not going to have much of a chance.
Interesting. The matchup, I guess, within that is, to me anyway, is Jalen Brown and that Mountain Pointe secondary, as you touched on, against the Mountain View receivers. Is that it sounds like that's the game plan, like to throw them short and get that secondary to move up and up and up, and then you got to execute it, and then go for the double move, try some sort of a deep ball to stretch it out.
I mean, I'd assume, I haven't talked to Grenier, but that's how I think they need to do it, because I think Mountain Pointe's defense is going to be able to get pressure in the pocket on John Clark or Chase Funk, so they're not going to be able to do a lot of huge plays and deep plays. And, the Mountain Pointe secondary is pretty good, so I think they're going to have to do a lot of quick stuff and just kind of be patient with it. And then when the opportunity is there, take your shots. But overall, it's going to be hard for them to move the ball on Mountain Pointe in big chunks. So I think they're going to have to just keep doing those short passes, and hopefully it works out.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball is how well can Mountain View's defense, especially that front seven, which is pretty fundamentally sound and fairly quick, but very small, especially compared to Mountain Pointe's offensive line. There are a lot of hosses on the Mountain Pointe O-line, and if they get pushed around, they're in real trouble, because then they're not going to possess the ball, and then it's going to play right into Mountain Pointe's hands. So how well can Mountain View stop that Mountain Pointe running game is probably 1B in the pecking order for Mountain View if it wants to pull off the upset.